Hey new bodies, another episode in our 10 principles series that we're doing. This time we're talking about number 5, which is to be smart about it. There's really two pieces to this puzzle. The first is to be smart with how you go about exercising so that you make the most of the effort that you put in. You get the most bang for your buck. The second is to be present in the moment, and you'll see how the two really tie together. So let me touch on the first. You hear the term high intensity interval training, or HIIT or HIT. You might hear the phrase Tabata. There's other ways to refer to it, but it's essentially the idea where you don't go for a really long time at a really constant pace, but instead you can go for a shorter amount of time, and you do it at a varied pace where you have these little bursts of energy, these bursts of effort, these little sprints, if you will, and then you come back down to more of a resting or recovery or constant pace. So you'll see it on a lot of the machines where they'll have these sort of peaks and valley type trainings, and they might call it hill training or hill intervals. You can do it out on the road, on a bike, walking, running, jogging, whatever it might be, cross-country skiing, where you're sort of cruising along, and then for 30 seconds to a minute, or maybe even a little bit longer, you burst your effort up and you really push yourself. So for example, with people who get into running, a lot of the ways that you'll hear people recommend doing that, or coaches recommend you do that, like in a couch to 5K program, might be the run walk approach, where you set out for, say, a 30 or 40 minute run, and I use the term run loosely because what you're really doing is you walk for a period of time and then you run for a period of time. And it's almost not important that you're sort of like, all out, all your effort during that run point, but it's a clear increase in your effort over the walk period. Now the nice thing with this is that overall the impact to your body is lower than if you maintain that higher effort for that total period. So there's a sort of pain and injury and impact benefit. But the really cool part is where the metabolism piece comes in. So there's a lot of studies that have gone on around interval training, and what they find is for a shorter duration of effort, or a shorter duration of workout rather, you get more of a metabolism boost than you would for a longer yet more constant workout. So the impact has been shown to be up to 24 hours actually in the increase in your resting metabolic rate. So if you were to do a 25 or 30 minute interval program on the elliptical versus a 40-minute manual constant program, you could be burning for up to the next day versus sort of a 3 to 6 hour impact that the consistent sort of manual balanced approach would have. There's some other studies that have shown by Tabata, who's one of the sort of big proponents of interval training, and there's a whole approach that's named after him. But it was around sprinting, and a sprinting training session that lasted a total of 2.5 hours. So that was a 2.5 hour period, obviously very long, but with sprints and then coming back down in effort, versus 10.5 hours of consistent training, again, exceptionally long, but that's where it equated. So it took 10.5 hours of the consistent effort to equal the same burn that they got in the 2.5 hour sprinting effort. Now you can say to yourself, I'm not doing 2.5 hours, that's crazy. That's not the point. The point is that 2.5 hours to 10.5 hours ratio is what they found. So you can get a much bigger impact for a much shorter workout. Now I myself used to do 45 to 60 minutes of the constant effort on the elliptical as sort of my daily baseline cardio, and I've since pulled that back to about 30 minutes of interval training. Now here's where the second piece of the be smart about it principle comes in, and that's to be present in the moment. You can set the interval training on the elliptical, on the bike, and whatever machine that you're using, or you can set your watch to beep every other minute to tell you, that's your sprinting minute or your running minute. But if you're not present, you're not going to catch that cue, you're not going to notice that the resistance has changed, and you just sort of keep moving, and it'll just be tougher. So on the elliptical, you can just keep going at the same pace, and it's a little tougher. You actually slow down a little bit, but you're not really expending much more energy. Your body just sort of adjusts the speed to compensate for the added effort that it takes. So on net, you're not burning anymore. You need to pay attention to what you're doing and take advantage of when that sprint comes in, or when your watch beeps to start sprinting, so that you actually push yourself. So what I recommend to people is, it can be really nice to watch a show at the gym or on your iPhone or iPad, or read a magazine article or a book while you're working out. It sort of makes the time pass faster. But you can find that you sort of get lost in that process and you miss those cues to step up your effort. So if you find that to be the case, I urge you to be more present in the moment and be a part of that workout and pay attention to the cues when the machine or your watch and your own drive to reach your goals is telling you to step up your effort and hit that interval session to really push yourself. You get much more out of that effort that you're putting in. Your time won't be spent as poorly. It'll really be pushing you towards your goals. So use your time wisely, pay attention to the time that you do choose to use, and you'll get there. That's how you enlighten your body.